Hello, Glowbusters. Yes, of course they're serious. You do? You have? No kidding. Uh-huh. Oh, they'll cure your globitis this week. Thank you. We got one!
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Glowbusters.
What are you supposed to be, some kind of a cosmonaut?
No, we're exterminators.
And now, here's your host.
And welcome everybody to Glowbusters, How to Exit the Matrix. I am your host, Bob, Xanadude60, and we are back, finally, with another Sunday show for you. I realize it's been a while since we have had a Sunday show. Well, actually, we had a show every Sunday, just I wasn't on all of them. I did make the last one, but before that, I wasn't feeling too red hot. Not sure exactly what's going on. I'm certainly not going to say I had the COVID, but, you know, I just think that's nonsense anyway, but I don't know what's going on with that, but I didn't feel good, and I'm just going to leave it at that. So I didn't do the show, and it's taken a long time to really get to feeling better, but I finally feel a whole lot better, and I'm really glad for that, obviously. So thank you everybody for keeping me in your thoughts and prayers, and it's really greatly appreciated. Cause boy, I'll tell you, I was feeling like crap. All right. So today, guys, what we're going to talk about several things, but, the primary subject that I want to talk about is, we're flat earthers, right? Okay. I don't think we necessarily need to completely beat the drum about the earth being flat all the time, even though we do that consistently. And that's because we have so much evidence for it. But one thing that a lot of people don't really talk about is the implications of what that means, right? Either religious or otherwise, or, what exactly does it mean to be in a flat earth construct? I think most of us can agree, and I'm not saying that I'm speaking for everybody, not by any means, but I think most of us will agree that we are in some sort of enclosure, that there is most likely a firmament. There's a ton of evidence for firmament. I certainly don't have to go into that. But what I'm interested in today is, what people think about, well, if there is a firmament, and we are created, then what exactly is the purpose of this firmament? And what exactly is the reason that we're here? That's something that has always kind of intrigued me. Now, me personally, I've thought about this for years, and I do mean literally years. I've always been very interested in the philosophy of life, why we're here, answering questions like that. And, I kind of came to the conclusion a long time ago that this is not, well, I can't say we're not here because of our free will. We've been manipulated to be here, I should say, because of our free will. But I think, probably one of the best ways to describe this place, in my opinion, is that it is a prison planet of sorts. Okay. Now, I know that there's all kinds of takes on this, and this is something that I'm going to be really interested in hearing from the panel on, because, if you are a truly devout Christian or, very religious in one, sector or another, you're probably going to be of the opinion as well, okay, all you have to do is accept your Savior, and and all this stuff, and everything's going to be great, and you're going to be able to come back and live on Earth forever, with the creator in this kingdom, yada, 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 right? And, that's all fine. If that's truly what you believe, then there's certainly no reason for you not to pursue that. The only thing I am saying to people is that, before you get caught up in any philosophical or religious type of paradigm, that, it's something that, you should actually think about a lot. When we look at what's going on here in the world today, and obviously I don't have to mention a lot of what's going on in the world today, we are in endgame, right? These guys are playing for keeps. They're not messing around. And, I think when we get over to the Rockfin side, and I'll bit to that a little bit later, I'll elaborate a little bit more, but I think we all know what's going on here. And you really have to take that kind of seriously. We have two basic, schools of thought, and one of them obviously is the Luciferian type of school of thought. And, we know all about that, and we hear all about their philosophies and et cetera, et cetera. But what does that exactly mean for us? And this is something that, guys, I think is incredibly important. So I've asked the question, for a long time. It's like, okay, so if we are here in this place that's been created for us, and we are not necessarily here of our own accord, or maybe we are, but we're under the impression that we need to be here to learn more of life's lessons, to be able to handle life's bigger lessons, I should say, something like that. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but these are some of the opinions that are out there. And so that's what I want to talk about today, and, find out what the panel members think about it, and we'll go from there. So before we do that, let's go ahead and get the group. Now, Austin and Jeran are in California at Venice Beach. There's Austin right there. And he is doing his thing, and Jeran's right there with him and everything. And so they'll be hopping on here in a little bit, but just thought I'd let you know where they're at. And so we will go ahead and introduce first up, Mr. Iru Landucci. Iru, how you doing today, sir?
Hello, Bob. Hello, everyone. I hope you hear me well. I am not in my studio, so my mic, it's the mic that comes with the webcam. And I'm still in Barcelona. We have a long type of flat earth, small or small tour. But we went to some places, giving some talks, and also making some meetings in the beach and other places, but trying to make that the movement still grow and keep in movement. And I think we make a really nice job. And the last 2 weeks I don't participate in the Globebuster because of this. So I hope this Sunday I can at least enjoy the show. And it's a really nice topic to talk. In fact, I was taking, because I give some historian type of lectures, not just flat earth in terms of the mathematics and the technical stuff. And I was studying from a Spanish channel that talks so much in terms of the old lodges and secret societies that was involved in the last 500 years, and is a really a mess when you're trying to go back in the past and trying to find the most, I don't say that you can find the absolute truth about who we are, what we are doing here, but what you can at least start taking into consideration, that it's that they, the powers that be, they make so difficult to us to find that path, that it's incredible. The amount of layers and sub-layers and firewalls that the elite creates to hide the real meaning of our life in this plane of existence. I don't believe that we are, necessarily under a type of jail or prison model. I believe that maybe you can have both the paradise paradigm or the jail paradigm, in terms of the amount of information and the things that you want to achieve in your life. But what I'm thinking is also is a little difficult, because a lot of people get born or reincarnate in some places that it's really hard to be free not just be free in terms of the materialistic world, but also in terms of the information. So it's a little crazy to or difficult to really put the how can I say, put the real to trying to make a real puzzle to understand what we are doing here. But it's a really nice topic, and thank you for having me on.
Oh, no problem. Well, and I got to say this too, Hiro. One thing that I definitely feel about this, especially after studying this for 40 years, literally, consciousness science. I have I've studied near-death experiences. What people have done, what has happened to them. Read about what's happened to them in near-death experiences. Remote viewing. A lot of those books. The Monroe Institute, studied all that stuff. I actually was a member of the Monroe Institute for quite some time. And, there are also several groups, especially out in California. You would be amazed at how many scientific groups there are that are dedicated specifically to, correlating ancient texts with some of this kind of New Ager, I don't really want to call it New Age or ET stuff, but some of the weirder stuff that you would hear. And one thing that I definitely do believe is that whatever this place is, there are a few rules that are in play that unless the powers that be want to get in trouble with some sort of a karmic repercussion, then there are certain things that have to be made possible. In other words, you cannot necessarily violate someone's free will, and that's why there's so much trickery that goes on, right? You're always having to be tricked into things, and it's always about you giving your consent, and that's why they have the Hegelian dialect, right? So they will cause a problem. They will introduce the solution. We will demand the solution. Bada bing, then it's all on us, et cetera, right? Well, it goes a little bit deeper than that, though. Not only do you have, the law of free will that you can't necessarily impinge on, but you also have to have the information made available to you to which you are seeking. In other words, if you set your heart to really finding out the cause for something and really want to go through the effort of, getting into a topic like what happens after death, I really want to know, so you read all these books and you find out all these experiences. And, sometimes you'll find that people will have repetitive lifetimes that were literally the same lifetime going over and over and over again. And of course, this is where, you get a lot of really weird moments that they, what do they call them? When you see a repeat in history. I know everybody's going to know the name of that, but anyway.
Yeah, like a fractal.
Like a what?
Thing. A fractal.
Yeah, it's kind of like a fractal, exactly. And so, I do believe that there are parts of our life that are definitely fractal, in fact. And, in thinking of that, Brian Stavely and I actually had a talk about that one night, in that, all of these things that are, so-called Mandela effects, that if this is truly, this reality truly has these fractal parts to it, then this would seem to explain somewhat of the Mandela effect that's out there, right? Because if things actually truly are happening over and over and over again, until the greater consciousness makes a choice for the larger paradigm, things literally can change. Now, granted, I understand there are people out there that don't believe in the Mandela at all. That's fine. I'm just saying that when you look at this stuff, you really have to look at it with an open mind, and you really have to think it through. Because if you're not looking at it with an open mind, then you don't really want to know, obviously, that well. Because if you're going to go into something with preconceived, conceptions, then, why are you even bothering? You really, and it's difficult. It is. To be able to keep your mind open to something like that is very difficult. But again, and that's why I've always talked about this preponderance of evidence. You've got to look at things and list them down under their preponderance of evidence. What do they bring to the table, right? What does Mandela effect bring to the table? What does religious scripture bring to the table? What does, all of this stuff, bring to the table as far as this paradigm, this lifetime that we're living within it, right? So, so anyway, that's all I'm saying is that I personally believe that if you are truly seeking, and you do it with an earnest heart, then you will find the answers must be made available. Sometimes it's going to be a real sumbitch, to be able to do it. But I think that you'll know that you're on the right track because you'll keep coming back and finding, these answers over and over and over again. And pretty soon, again, it builds into this preponderance of evidence where all of a sudden you're saying, okay, well, I think this is really what is going on, right? And everybody has to do this their own way, right? This is a journey. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm going to say because I assume you need to present the rest of the panel, but I like to see, just in a few words, I like to see that if you want to take the path that maybe you believe, not you itself, you Bob, but whatever out there wants to believe that this is a jail or a prison type of experience, at least we have the doors open. And this is not a minor detail because, maybe you can, after all, escape or is in your path of life or what you want to do to trying to cross the door, that open door in the prison
Yes.
type of paradigm.
I agree. And there is a way out. There absolutely is a way out. But the thing that you have to be careful of here is that, getting out may not be all as glorious as you may think it might be. If you're not ready for it, in other words, say you are here to learn specific lessons about life, right? Then, and we look at the world, and I look at the world around me, and I'm like, man, this place is so screwed up. Who in the hell would ever want to live here, right? And yet, by the same token, I also, see how other people live their life. And, they kind of take life in strides, and they look at life in a very positive way. And as a result of it, life goes generally very positive for them. Dave Weiss is a great person to point out for that. The guy, everything the guy touches kind of turns to gold, right? But that happens because of his attitude about things. And, I've always said that if you have the correct attitude or the attitude of gratitude about things, that then you're going to be more of a vibrational match for what you're seeking out, and you are going to manifest these answers much, much more quickly. So, I totally agree with you on that. All right, so let's go ahead and move on and introduce the other members of the panel. Sorry, I'm being so slow about this, guys, but I want you to think about it because I'm going to ask each and every one of you personally exactly where you think we are and why we're here and why you believe that. And if that's too personal, that's okay. But I think this is something that people do want to hear and they do want to understand. And, I don't think there are really any wrong answers here. So there you have it. So let's go ahead and move up to John TheMorgile. John, how you doing today, sir?
Doing fine. It's fine as frog hair, Bob. Thank you for asking, my friend. Hope you guys are doing well. And I'm getting just hella static in my headset when everyone else is talking. So when I get done intro, I'm going to close out Skype and relaunch it. But just so you know, that's where I'm going to go. But yeah, doing very well and glad to be here. Hope we have a great show. And it sounds like a topic that I'm very interested in. I'd love to hear everyone else's thoughts on that as well. So looking forward to it very much.
Excellent. Sounds good. All right. All right. So next up, we have with us, normally from the Wednesday night show, we have Mr. Good Times for All, or Zachary Zabala, if you prefer. How you doing today, Zach? Welcome to the Sunday show.
Hey, Bob. Hey, guys. Hey, everybody. Thanks for inviting me onto the Sunday show. I feel like I'm in the big leagues now for this weekend. But no, yeah, this topic is one of those where I used to think about it a lot. And I'll explain why I don't so much anymore when we get into it. But yeah, this used to really, really intrigue me. And I put so many hours into just daily thinking about this. But it was more when I was in the heliocentric. I thought about this more when I didn't know there was a creator, actually.
That's interesting.
Once I found the creator, there was those few years in between the creator and flat Earth, I would say, where I did wonder about it a little bit, but more in a different way. It's hard to explain. But once I found flat Earth, I don't know, I just got more into just trying to be, like you were saying, just be positive, think positively, get myself away from that world completely, focus more on things like nature. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're here, is to connect with this place. And all these buildings and all these signs and all these, roads that go to places are distractions from you connecting with the creator. And I think we need to get back to that more.
Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Well, that's, you and I have obviously spent some time talking about this, and especially in these days, right? These days, I hate to call it these days, but, as I've said it so many times before, as truth seekers, we have all seen this coming, right? I think much to our dismay, we're reluctantly having to admit that, this crazy crap is here, and it's on, right? So that's, it's something that I don't think that people can kind of prolong putting off as far as thought, thinking about, how you're going to proceed in the future, or how you're going to deal with this, if and when, the day comes that you either meet your maker, or, something catastrophic happens. It's some sort of life-changing event. I think we all believe very much that there's lots of stuff going on that we were never told about. Like the Earth and how many, reset events and all this crazy stuff that goes on. But again, the evidence is absolutely pouring forward right now that, things like this do happen. They have happened. They are happening. And we are smack dab in the middle of it happening. And, it's pretty difficult to ignore it at this point. So there you have it. So, okay, let's go ahead and move on to Miss Karen B. And hey, Karen, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Bob. I'm glad to hear you're feeling better.
Yeah, me too. Boy, I felt like crap.
I know.
But I didn't want to, I heard Brian Stavely on one of your shows, and he's like, now, some of these bigger, channels are going to get up there and say, yeah, there's something to this. And it's like, no, I'm not going to say that. I will say that, yeah, I got sick. Was it COVID? No idea. All I know is that I get sick usually, maybe once every 2-3 years, something like that, a sickness like that, maybe a little bit longer. But I also, in my own defense, have to say that, we've changed environments. We moved away from Denver. We didn't exactly get out a whole lot. A lot of depression going on, stuff like that. So, it's.
What was the symptoms of your conflict?
Mostly I was just feeling really, really drained. And I couldn't. It's like I was very restless. I couldn't sleep. I didn't have like a bunch of hacking or coughing or anything like that. But just generally drained. Like I had absolutely zero energy whatsoever. And Cami went and bought one of those little, finger oxygenator test things on me. And she kept putting that on me all the time. And I was in like 95, 96, 98%. So my blood oxygen level was fine. But, I don't know what it was. I mean, and occasionally I would get stomach problems and then that would kind of pass, and I don't know, but it literally took the last 4 weeks to get through this. And I do feel a whole lot better. So I don't know what it is or, what caused it or anything like that, but yeah, it's crappy. But I think a lot of it had to do with simply, all the changes that we've made in our life and what's going on right now. It's kind of a messed up world to be in right now. So anyway, Karen, you, I understand, have got, you guys did a little bit more investigation on the new site, and I saw a new video that you guys put up, and this is going to be so much fun. I can hardly wait.
Yeah. It's a little, you talking about the one Brian put on his channel?
Yeah. Well, I thought it was on your channel too.
Well, no, we just did one yesterday that we put on Brian's channel because he's kind of being very Brian Stavely. We'll say Brian's being Brian in that one.
Right.
But it's all in good fun.
Okay. Whoops. Well, that's wits. It's all right. So yeah, I just thought it was really cool. Oh, that's not it either. So where is that? Karen B. Oh, I guess it was this one.
That's towards the right there.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I said I see a tab that says Flattoberfest way over on the right.
Yeah, let's see. Secret Mingle. Okay. I don't know if you want to play this or if you want to do the Brian one. Or you tell me what you want to do. You want to
the
tell us?
Location tour, that one right there is a good one. That's a good one.
Okay, so let's go ahead and play this really quick. And guys, this is going to be a lot of fun coming up in, just over a month. Is that right? Yeah, just over a month. Holy cow. Unbelievable. Time is going so fast. It's unreal. But the venue is awesome. I guess it was Nathan Commercial Sound and Video said that he went and checked out the little race cars there that you can drive.
Yeah. Actually, me and Ted and Brian went and did the go-karts a couple days ago too.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
There, I think it was Friday. I think we were there Friday. Thursday or Friday. I can't remember. But we did. We went there and we rode the go-karts. It was fun. Ted beat both of us.
I know. I used to go to a place in Denver called Malibu Grand Prix. And it was really cool because they were like go-karts on steroids. They were so fast.
Yeah. I remember Malibu Grand Prix.
Yep.
There's one in the San Francisco Bay Area too. We used to go to.
Yep. There's only a few of them around the country, but they were awesome for sure. So, all right. So let's go ahead and watch this promo update on the Secret Mingle, and then we will talk about it. So here we go.
Flattoberfest 2021 is almost here, and it's happening in historic downtown Spartanburg, South Carolina. This is a great opportunity to meet other Flat Earthers, connect in real life with online friends, and interact face-to-face without restriction, just as the creator intended.
Okay, this one is not the location tour one. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought this is the one that you wanted to do.
No, did you want to play that one? Because that one's the first. That's the regular promo that just tells everybody, tell you.
Yeah, let's do the location tour because that one's cool, and that's Brian's. That's under Brian's, right?
Yeah. No, that one's the other tab. You just had it on the other tab there.
Okay. Let's see. Right.
It's like that video is like 5 or 6 minutes.
Location tour.
Yeah, that's it.
This is it. Okay, let's try this one. Sorry, guys. Let's play it. Give it another shot here.
We are live here at the Magnolia Grand Center in Spartanburg, South Carolina, site of Flattoberfest 2021. This will be our third event during the current situation that the world is in right now. No better time for everybody to get down here, meet up, meet like-minded people, and hang out. Not only are we going to have this great event is going to be 2 days long. We're also going to have hundreds of us gathered in one hotel, and we're going to go give you guys some footage soon. We're going to walk around here. We're going to show you some of the restaurants, bars. There's a bowling alley right behind this place, and there's even an indoor go-kart racing place, which we just found today. So check out flatearthfestivals.com, get your tickets, and I will see you guys at the end of October. All right, so we are about to take a left on Church Street here, right around the corner from the venue. It's just to my right. You walk out the door, you bang a quick left, and then you are headed down to where all the restaurants and bars and everything. So here we are on Church Street. We're headed back up to where, towards the hotel. We're going to take a walk towards the hotel, show you guys what it's all about, how close it is. It's just a few minutes walk right up the street. It's going to be a great time. So we just had a meal over here at this Thai place, but there's a lot of other restaurants over here to my left, which I'm about to show you. A lot of people drive the electric scooters around here. It's kind of like this little, it's almost got like a beach vibe without the beach down here. So we're walking through, I guess what you would call the little restaurant section. We got a Wild Wing Cafe. People are drinking margaritas. All right, people are dining outside. We got a little park over here. Right over here you have this Irish bar, and I noticed that nobody in here is wearing any masks, at least the hostess here and the servers. Thank you. Excellent.
Yep, and I just want to point out to a lot of people that South Carolina, our governor has been just absolutely awesome here, basically giving the middle finger to the feds and and what he's going to allow to be enforced here and not. So it's really awesome that he is that way, and you're just not going to see a lot of people with masks here. In fact, they're almost non-existent. And, I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop on that, but we shall see what happens. But right now, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. It is a gorgeous, beautiful time of the year to be in South Carolina. This is one of the most beautiful states in the country, without a doubt. So let's continue.
Excellent. Place looks good, No BS in there, looks good. Let's take a walk to the bowling alley. So we are behind the event right now. Social bar and smokehouse, initial queue. And then right here you have the underpin lanes and lounge.
Excellent. And Karen, if you want to say anything, just go ahead and kick in and I'll pause the video right away. If you want to say anything about any of this as it flows by, okay?
All right, cool.
All right, let's continue.
So we will
Beautiful. And then, of course, it goes into the secret mingle for the flat earthers. And I understand, Karen, that the hotel is now, are they sold out on all the rooms?
Yeah, that was another thing I wanted to say while we were here today, is that the group hotel did get booked up. The rooms for that are booked, but I did put some links on the website for some other nearby hotels that one of them, I know at least a couple of people have said they're staying there, but I don't remember which one, but they're all nearby. There's also lots of Airbnbs in the area. I know some people have gotten some Airbnbs within walking distance of the venue, so there's still places to stay, but not at the group hotel. That place has now been filled up.
Wow. Okay. Well, no surprise. I mean, you're telling people that it was filling up quick, and it makes perfect sense because everybody really wants to, be a part of something that's going on. And, it's amazing because we've had, oops. All right. Oh, Jeran's calling me on the phone. Hang on just a second. Let's see. Hey, Jeran. All right. You're live. What's going on, sir?
I think they just ended.
Are you on Rockfin?
Yeah, I'm on Rockfin.
Okay. Do you want us to go live over there so that you can talk about masks and stuff? I can't do that on my channel.
Yeah, if you want to do that. Wait a second. Karen just said we went. Did we just end, Karen?
No, not us. Jaren's not live.
Oh, you guys just ended. Okay. So, yeah, you want to just go on Skype and jump into the show?
Sure. Yep. So is the call open right now?
It is. The Glowbusters Live.
All right, cool. I'll go right there.
All right. Sounds good. See you in a minute. Okay.
Austin's girlfriend's on the mic right now, so be good.
Oh, Yahoo. All right. Bye. Austin's girlfriend's on the mic right now. All right. So they just went out. Okay. Live from Venice. Yeah, they are out. Very cool. Okay. So Jaren's going to be jumping in here in just a second. But yeah, so I wish everybody could make this, because these things are going to be so therapeutic for everybody to be able to do this. And I got to tell you, I'm really, really looking forward to it. So, and everybody that's been to one of these also is as well. So if you haven't had a chance, try and make it, because you will definitely not regret it.
The Earth was actually a ball.
Yeah, it's definitely food for the soul.
Also, the Earth is not spinning. Okay.
Okay. Oops, I just heard somebody come in.
Planets, the stars, and the moon and the sun, they're actually moving as we observe every single day. The sun obviously moves. It rises in the east and sets in the west. You can see this every single day. But what they'll tell you is no, it's actually the Earth that's spinning. Okay, well, if the Earth is actually spinning at 1,000 miles per hour, that should be really easy to prove. How could we prove
she's a little bit out of focus, Jeran, but we got her.
On the sidewalk and hover a drone over the heart.
Also looking at your...
Over the course of the day, as the drone's hovering in midair, it should start to deviate away from the heart.
Okay.
Why? Because the Earth is spinning underneath it.
I'll look at the
But
stream.
it's not. It will never do that because the Earth is actually not spinning. The celestial bodies in the sky are moving around you. Another great example, a lot of people here think they're truthers. They're all into like the pyramids, the Anunnaki stuff. Here, let's talk about the pyramids. The pyramids of Giza were obviously built in alignment with Orion's belt.
Okay, can you guys, Jeran, are you with us?
You can see every year that they'll be in complete alignment with Orion's belt. Well, how is that possible if the Earth is spinning 1,000 miles per hour at its axis?
Why is the Jeran blurry?
I don't know. He's not hearing me either. I don't understand why he's not hearing me. Crud. Yeah, well, I just muted him. So, Jeran, we're not getting anything from you except a blurry picture. So that kind of bites, but that's kind of the way that it goes. God, I wonder why I am not able to let me contact him on text. Sorry, guys. Oops, let's go over here. I'll see if I can get a hold of Jeran on messages. And let's see. Okay. Let me just tell him this picture is blurry. Oh, wow. something's really going funky here. It is not.
Yeah, they were
me...
saying he was having battery issues earlier in the chat.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, let's see. Well, geez, Jeran, let me see if I can get a hold of him. Let's see. I cannot text him. His phone doesn't want to take a text. That's weird. All right. Well, I don't know what to do. I guess we'll just kind of proceed on, and maybe he will figure it out and come back online. But so yeah, he's muted. But yeah, it's just completely blank. All right. So let's go ahead and reshare my screen. Okay. All right, guys. Sorry about that. I hate this. It's like a nightmare when stuff like this happens, because it's like you try and get everybody coordinated, and for some reason, people just are not coordinated together. So, all right. So let's go ahead and go back then, I guess, to, and Carousel, was there anything else you wanted to say about the Flattoberfest event at all?
Not that I can think of right offhand.
Okay. All right. Not a problem. All right. So, I guess, Karen, we can start this with you, and you and I have never really talked about this that much. And I am kind of curious about, how you feel about it, but what do you think this place is, Karen? Do you think that we are, I'm pretty sure you realize that we've got to be living in some sort of a construct, contained, construct, but apart from that, or aside from that, what do you suppose the purpose is, and what are your thoughts on it?
As far as the purpose of it,
yeah, just in your mind. There's no right or wrong answer here. I'm just curious to kind of get a feel of what people think is going on, because me personally, I think about stuff like this all the time. It's hard not to think about it, and so that's why I'm curious what other people think about it. Surely, if that we are in a construct and we are here, this place was made for us. Obviously, there's biblical stories about, it tells us why we're here. There's other cultures that have, given us reasons why we're here. There's kind of the New Age line of thinking, that gives their take on it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just curious what, individually you guys think of it.
Well, I don't know, man. It's such a deep subject.
It is. It is.
It's so deep, but I do definitely believe we're living in some sort of construct. What is it? I don't know, but it does seem to be made by the creator, whatever that looks like to you, for the purpose of either their own, I don't know, amusement, entertainment. I don't know what the right word would be. That maybe to some people think so that the creator isn't lonely, I don't know. I don't know if that's right though. But it does seem to be like a place where lessons have to be learned. I feel like a lot of what we're doing here is we're learning lessons. We're learning about who we are, what we're capable of. And it does seem to me that there's, some sort of energy or entity here that doesn't want us to figure that out. Yeah. And we sort of have to figure it out in spite of that. Yeah. That's part of it,
Well, and then you also have, stories like, Zechariah Sitchin, and, he's talking about the Anunnakis who supposedly created us for the specific purpose of gold mining, take that however you will. I think that could be used metaphorically for several different reasons, but, more or less as a slave race to do something like that. Of course, gold could be, a metaphor for lots of other things, right? Many things could be as valuable as gold and stuff like that, but that's just one thing. So if that's true, then it's like, all right, somehow we had to be, talked into agreeing to that, whether or not we've been convinced that it's for our own good or that we've agreed to do this. I don't know. It's just a very interesting thought. But again, this is something that people really need to, think this through, I think, to be able to figure it out. So, all right. So, all right. Sorry, guys.
I do think, though, that this place that we're in was definitely made for us, for whatever the motivation behind that is. I couldn't guess to know. I don't really like trying to guess what the creator thinks or why the creator does things that the creator does, because it's too hard.
Well,
it makes things too complicated. It's like, God.
I understand.
But I do think that it was made for us, and that this place exists for us. And I also don't think that anybody could ever necessarily say that this place would continue to exist if we weren't here. I mean, and I do mean humans specifically. You know what I mean? Because people always say, "Oh, if there was no more people, the Earth would just thrive and it would be so great." Well, you don't know that. You don't even know that it would even still exist. I don't know that it would even continue to exist. Yeah. Personally, I feel like whatever this place is that we're in, it's like, here it's where the physical world and the spiritual world overlap. This isn't just a physical world. There's definitely a spiritual part to this world. And this place is where the two meet,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally understand that. And it's a difficult thing to think about. And, like Lisa Hartline is saying, in the chat, it's okay to be bold. We need to know. And I kind of think that way. Of course, other people think, well, no, we're just going to live our life. We don't necessarily need to know that. I personally think that we do. At least it's certainly within my realm of curiosity. And, like I say, after studying this for 40 years, I am definitely of the opinion that we are in a place that, at least as far as I'm concerned, that I don't want to be here anymore. And I think that there could be some issues that I still may have to resolve with being in this place. But I do understand that there is a way out. I understand how to get out. And that's one of the things that I think is really amazing. One thing I want to show you guys is one of the guys that I research is this guy right here called Wes Penra. Okay. And Wes Penra, I've been following him for, at least 20 years, I would imagine. What he does is he takes and he researches many different philosophies, schools of thought, religions, and then kind of consolidates them all together. He will look at New Age proposals like Robert Morningside or James from the Truth Seekers, or not the Truth Seekers, Wingmakers, James from the Wingmakers. You guys are familiar with people like that. I think he's pretty much come to the conclusion that David Wilcock is full of crap, as have I, even though I did have my stint with David Wilcock.
No. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's true though. And I mean, we all get caught up in there. John and I both got caught up in Richard Hoagland, right? But you really do find out. And I was watching David Wilcock the other night, and the stuff he was spewing out was just utterly ridiculous. And he's basically going to try and make this sound like this, all is proceeding normally, and he's going to cuck for the establishment, which just blows me away. It just it's so disappointing because, I mean, I know the guy is smart, but he has completely sold out, and that really sucks. So, what do you do, right?
Well, we kind of have to go through all this stuff, because how do you know what's wrong or what's right if you don't go through it all, Because they lied to us about everything. So then we have to figure it out. And then we have to wade through the garbage.
Yeah, I totally agree. So
it's like a lifelong test, though. I think that if you do something and you feel bad about it, you're supposed to learn a lesson there. If you go and do that again and again and again until it doesn't feel bad anymore, then I don't know if you can, ever learn that lesson anymore. I think maybe that's one of those where, oh, you have to go and do it again. I think it's really based on vibration. Your magnetic field, your frequency that you're at. What happens after this is either you're going to rise, you're going to stay right where you are, or you're going to go lower in vibration. Now, what you're going to be then, I don't know. That could be the difference between heaven and or angels and demons. Demons could be at one end of the spectrum and angels could be at the other. I don't know. But I think that has something to do with it. It's not just how much you learn while you're here or what you actually do, but if you learn from, all these mistakes that we make throughout our lives, if you can handle it, really, and then move on from this incubation chamber that we're in.
Yeah. I totally get that. And I think that, there are other areas and what I've been looking at is this area that Wes Penner talks about, the Ka, which is basically the area that's on the outside of the firmament, right? And ironically, it's cool because he talks about, the flat earth, round earth debate. And he goes, the flat earth really is quite valid. But it is also modeled after something that, has since been destroyed. Whether or not that's true, who knows, right? All I'm saying is that he gets his information from some of the oldest texts that have been around, for a long time. And it may be completely full of BS, but it also may be full of very good information. So again, it's something you have to kind of, weigh next to your own sensibilities. And, how does that sound to you? How does that ring out to you? Does it make sense? Stuff like that. And he talks about this area outside what he calls the matrix, or actually it's more along the lines of what he would call a patrix, because it's a patriarchal type of thing. Obviously, we see that. And, Wes would be of the opinion, I think more along the lines that I would be, that the universe would be more akin to a feminine energy. And I think that the feminine energy, personally is the stronger of the two energies, but also very much a part of the initial creation. Now, again, am I right? I have no idea. But I do see that, especially just looking at women and what women have to put up with and deal with, and the things that, they have to be so strong for so many things. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I could never be a woman. I mean, I would have my ass handed to me in about 2 seconds flat. So
yeah, no, thank you.
So,
yeah, there's so many more things where you say, yeah, I'm glad I'm a guy, instead of, yeah, I'm glad I'm a woman. There's just way too many more on our side.
Well, I mean, being standing up, need me say more? No, I'm totally kidding.
Yeah, it's crazy. So anyway, in this area outside of the our little matrix here, he calls it the Ka, and apparently, we have wars going on in this Ka area of, groups from Orion that are trying to take over world domination or universal domination, etc., stuff like that. It sounds pretty much like a typical, I don't know, a typical war drama, right? But, it makes sense to me on some level, because, I mean, our entire history has been completely, full of war incidentals, and wars here and scrimmages for that. And, it's just crazy. And it kind of parallels, what's going on down here on Earth, or whatever this place is, right? As above, so below. And so a lot of people have started asking him, how exactly do we get out of this matrix? And I think I would like to play a few-minute video section here where he's talking about the grid and what the grid is. And basically, I'll say this, and I've said this before, even, even before I found West Penry, I had this idea that the grid itself was something that was shaped in a toroidal type of form, and that is an energetic construct. And this energetic construct can be made very much to hold things in. And then there are ways also to get out of it. So,
it's funny that you say that, Bob. I'll just interrupt for just a second, because I was thinking when you were talking earlier, I just had in my mind that this whole place, the whatever it's made of, I tend to think that the dome is crystalline. That maybe this place, like the shape of it, it's made specifically to enable light to condense down to matter. And that's how this place even works or is able to exist, is because we're contained. I mean, I don't know.
Exactly.
If everything is pressure mediation.
Absolutely.
I totally agree, man. You know, like the lighter gases, helium, hydrogen, we know that they find their state of equilibrium high up. And so what happens to those type of gases at super low temperature, super low pressure? I don't know. But I think I agree that it's probably some sort of a crystalline structure that adheres to the magnetic field. And yeah, I also kind of agree with you on the more sort of intangible element of what you said. So yeah, spot on.
Yep. Okay, cool. So I'm going to let Wes talk about the Ka for just a few minutes, and then I'll kind of follow along with this. And if you guys want me to stop at any point, just let me know. And let me actually get into a decent area here, and then I'll let it play for a few minutes. Let's see.
It will take a little longer than planned to complete the video setup where I will present myself in person, so we'll narrate this video as we usually do. The next one will hopefully be a face video. Many people have asked us questions about the grid, how to exit the matrix, and what we might encounter in the process. We've also noticed, understandably, that there is quite a lot of fear around it. Therefore, let's go over in more detail the way Ariel and I understand it. When your body expires, your etheric bodies that make up your current avatar will separate themselves from the physical body. The next etheric body you will perceive yourself inhabiting is your astral body, which is a blueprint of the physical body. You will, in most cases, now have a 360-degree vision.
Oh, that's interesting. He's saying basically after you die, that not only are you aware of things around you, but you see behind you and all.
Coming out here, getting ridiculed by everyone. Well, why would we want to do that? I could see you.
Whoops. Okay.
So you think we couldn't get attention outside of coming here to get ridiculed? We want negative attention. That's your theory. It's attention. It's attention.
Hey, Jeran, can you hear us?
Well, I understand that, but
Hello?
even above that, we can actually
Hello, Jeran.
test to see if the Earth is curving. So how do we test to know if the Earth is actually curving? Well, they tell us that the Earth.
I don't know what was going on there. He couldn't hear us, so I just removed him from the call.
Seems like a lot of nice, happy people at the beach today, though, huh?
God, no kidding. That's crazy. I don't know what is going on there, why he doesn't seem to understand that we can't talk to him. It's like, dude, are you even checking? Who's running his tech support today? Holy cow.
And I would imagine Jeran isn't.
Yeah, well, there it is. There's your problem.
There you go.
All right, so let's continue and go back to this. So anyway, as I was saying, so now we have now died, we've separated, and now we have this kind of omnivision of ourself and what's going on around us. So let's continue on.
That makes
when you're
sense to me.
separated, you'll see your physical body below you. As soon as you realize that you're dead, look up with your physical body as a reference point. Above you, you will see the electromagnetic grid. So how does the grid look like? We've learned that it will most likely look like a toroidal field, just like the field that surrounds the human body. People have seen different colors, so it all depends on your own perceptions. I know that in 2008, and I wrote about this in the West Penry papers, a huge hole was created in the grid, in addition to other holes that are all over the place. The huge hole was created by a space war in the real solar system in the car, and even scientists noticed this hole back in 2008, and they freaked out about it. They couldn't explain it, and it was in the news. You can Google it.
Okay, so one thing I want to say about there, when he talks about the quote unquote real solar system, he's saying that this other construct, this other solar system, it looks similar to what we perceive when we look out into space, and we're seeing the stars, and we're seeing this energetic matrix, and in fact, it operates very much that way as well. Many of you that have listened to me talk about this have heard me say that space, to me, with all the stars in it, forms an energetic matrix grid, right? And that's why astrology is so profoundly effective on some people, right? When you get certain terrestrial and certain alignments, you have very profound interstellar effects on people. It's absolutely amazing. Of course, I don't need to tell you this. You guys know it's true. It's something that has been known for a long, long time, of course, and it's something now that they want to completely discredit the whole idea from, that even being the way that it is. But when he talks about this energetic construct, when we actually look out in the stars, at that point, what he's saying is that when we see the stars, those are literally intelligences. I guess you could call them akin to like angels or intelligent entities that are within that grid matrix system, right? So that's what he's talking about when he talks about that. So this can be really confusing, and that's, I'm only going to touch on this a little bit, but hopefully I'll get a bunch of people to kind of check into this, and at some point we can have a little bit deeper discussion about it, because this really is fantastic information, guys. And I got to tell you, after researching this for 20, 30, 40 years, it's some of the best stuff I've ever found out there, and I have literally investigated everything that I could get my hands on. So anyway, let's continue on.
Since then, scientists have tried to figure out how to repair this huge hole, not knowing what caused it. They are quite alarmed. Over the last few years, the grid has weakened significantly, and again, the scientists don't know why. We do, based on my research and the research Ariel and I have done together. Scientists explain that the grid is held in place by Earth, which is only partially true. We humans and all other life forms on Earth are holding it together with our soul energy. This is why it looks like a toroidal field. We are bioelectrical beings, and it's our energy that keeps the matrix in place. Now, as people are waking up, the grid is weakening. Instead of being fearful, we should rejoice, because if the grid comes down, it's the end of the matrix. Earth as we know it will be destroyed. We can't create a paradise on this planet, because if we keep the grid in place, it means that we keep the entire constructed matrix in place, and we will still be trapped. In addition, when the great majority of the population wake up, the grid will come down, due to that we have learned the truth, and the grid can no longer hold us encapsulated here. This means that Enki's fake reality construct will fall apart. No more Earth. Everybody will die and enter the car, whether they want to or not. So, however we look at it, weakening the grid and terminating the matrix are good things.
Okay, so I just wanted to make a comment back to Caroline McGreal, who made a comment in the chat. She says, all that you talk about, Bob, is in the Holy Bible. And yes, Caroline, I realize that. I do. And not only is it in the Holy Bible, but it's in several other holy books as well. It's in the Quran. It's in the Vedic books. It's in several different religious philosophies. Now, the interesting thing about it here is that everybody has their own specific take on it, right? Depending on which particular religious paradigm you want to look at this through. And this is why I think it's important to look at a variety of different, paradigms when you're looking at this, especially when we are talking about our very existence. I mean, this stuff is, it's just something that there's not a whole lot of information out there on, and what information there is very much obfuscated. And if it wasn't for the fact that, there were universal laws in place requiring that if someone is honestly seeking information that that has to be provided to them, we'd be in a whole lot of hurt, right? So all I'm saying is that, before you say you're going to commit to one particular religious paradigm, you may want to look at some of the other philosophies and thoughts along these lines, right? And I'm not trying to say this to diss any religion or anything like that, but obviously you have multiple different paradigms. You have multiple different ways that people or philosophies or groups are thinking about this. And some will be resonant to you and some of them will not be. Okay. And what we're looking for here is what's going to work best for us as individuals. So, if I sit there and say, well, if I were to go and say, well, I think that the Bible, that pretty much would be 100% correct for me. I couldn't say that because I don't believe that. There are things that I do take exception with in the Christian religion, and there are others as well. Now, that doesn't mean, though, that there isn't some sort of a compromise out there. And there's also going to be other people that will say, well, if you don't do it this way, then you're obviously blasphemous. And, to me, that's just a really, really shallow point of view, right? You need to keep your mind open on this, and keep in mind that there are literally beings out there vying for your soul, including your own God, right? If your soul wasn't so important, you wouldn't have so many people going after it, right? And there are a lot of people and beings that are going after it, and they tell you as much too. So this is something that's just something people really need to, keep in mind when you're studying the subject. So let me go ahead and continue on with this.
The other thing that people really need to understand too is that obviously most people here probably know this, but nobody can give away your soul except for yourself. That's why they have to trick you. You have to, just learn to love yourself and trust yourself, and then nobody's gonna mess with you.
Yeah, I agree.
Be honest with yourself too, right? I think that's a big part of this too, is don't lie to yourself.
Exactly. And I agree, Lisa. God is not an asshole. I love some of the comments that come out of the comments. That's awesome. So, all right. So let's continue on a few more minutes on this. And then I will go around for some questions here. Let's continue.
After you've spotted the grid, look for holes. There should be plenty of them, like a Swiss cheese. And you can focus on any of these holes. Someone asked us if the holes will be black. And we would say that this is most likely how you would perceive them. Now focus on one of these holes and project yourself through it. In an instant you will be out on the other side. Now you have left the matrix and have entered the car, the real universe. How do you know that you have exited the matrix? You will know because things around you will look very different from what NASA has told us. Space as we know it is a construct inside the matrix. We will discuss this in more details in future videos. So if you still just see planets, stars and galaxies in the same fashion we've been told, you're still in the matrix. Not to worry though, because if you do exit the grid, you are in the car. How does it look like in the car? What could we expect to see and experience? We don't know. It's something we humans can't fully comprehend until we've experienced it firsthand. It is our conclusion, however, that we will recognize at least some of it, because before we got trapped in the Matrix, we did live in the car as original humans, Namlu'us, so memories will most likely return.
Yep. And one thing I want to say is there is some fabulous work that was done by the Robert Monroe Group, the Monroe Institute. If you guys are familiar with Robert Monroe,
Yes, I am.
yeah, very much so. They studied the remote viewing. They worked a lot with Dean Radin at Princeton, and a lot of it, of course, the CIA had to get their little stick your fingers on and try and usurp a lot of this information. But the information is still out there about what they found, which is pretty startling. There's actually some fairly vivid descriptions of what is going on in the Ka. And like I said, again, if you're interested in this and you are not seeking it out, then you are not doing yourselves any favors, because the information is out there. And I think right now it's very important that we pick up on it. So let's continue.
Let's go back and discuss the astral for a while, and why it's so important to focus on the exit point as soon as possible after death. Most of what we experience when we astral travel is thought forms. They can manifest there in all shapes and forms and for whatever purpose. The irony is that it's we humans who have created these thought forms over time. Contrary to what we might think, it's not the work of the overlords who did it. Of course, other entities can manifest there as well, such as spirit guides and other beings who serve the overlords. You might also encounter what appears to be friends and relatives coming to meet and greet you. I said appears to, because they are very rarely your real relatives and friends. They are mostly projections. They might act.
Yeah, that's exactly true. And that's another one of those techniques that they use to deceive you. And so many people who have a near-death experience will report back, and first of all, they'll talk about this light, right? And this extremely soothing, very warm, loving, incredible feeling coming from a light. And then they will see somebody that is very close to them, that will pass into their reality and start, communicating with them. And, basically trying to motion you into coming into the light, right? And I always thought it was funny, because it got to be a joke for a while, even on The Simpsons, right? It's like, no, don't go into the light. And the reality is that's true. The light is technically a soul trap. And believe it or not, the CIA, they've actually had people come out of the CIA and talk about how this soul trap works. Now, again, you can either believe it or you can take it with a grain of salt. That's totally up to you. But again, when you get corroborating and correlating pieces of evidence that talk about these things that again are all about snaring your soul energy and bringing it into a place that you would not normally want to take it, it's better that you're in control of that than leaving it to fate, if you know what I mean. So let's continue on.
Precisely like these people did on Earth, but the overlords and their cohorts have access to the Akashic records, which is just a digital memory bank storing everything that has happened in the Matrix, including everyone's memories across the incarnations. In the death moment, it appears that our personality is scanned in the astral and the between lives area, BLA. This only takes a moment, and the astral beings will know everything about you. Thus, they can project fake friends and relatives in order to lure you into the recycling trap again. We believe that the spirit guides we encounter in the astral might be projections too, but not always. It depends on the circumstances. We will talk more about spirit guides and the astral in an upcoming video. Important is not to interact with any of these so-called beings. They are trained, or in most cases, the artificial intelligence behind the projected persons, beings, are well programmed, and there is no use arguing with these beings or projections. First, it halts your process unnecessarily, and second, any halt might help them to lure you into agreeing to go for another incarnation cycle. Some say
So
they
they're
want to
trolls.
give the overlords and the astral beings the finger, or say
I'm sorry, say again.
I said, so they're trolls.
Essentially.
That's what he's telling you. When you die, you encounter trolls, right?
We got to deal with trolls in the afterlife too.
Yes.
Good God.
And they're
Trolls
trying
in
to
the
waste your
afterlife.
time because that's what they do now. That's why I call them time wasters. They want to waste your time and make you go look off in some other direction other than where you should be looking.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly right. They distract you, anything it takes to get you off the mark. That's what it's about. Because obviously, if you're thinking about it on this level, then you're thinking about things on the mark that they don't want you looking at, right? Because essentially what that means is that they're going to lose your soul, right? Your soul is not going to be their prize for the taking. And this is why so many beings are out there literally trying to, trap you, ensnare you, fool you, whatever they want to do, to be able to get your soul energy to return. And then it's kind of like, however you want to look at it, like the Matrix, right? The Matrix, however they do it, there are certain energetic positions that mankind is put in, that feeds, I don't know, I guess they call them archons. Are you guys familiar with the concept of archons?
Yeah. Yes.
So, whatever it is, it's a type of energy that is sustenance for other types of life energy. And it's crazy out there. But the biggest thing that I have to say is throughout all of this journey, what you find out is that not only is it all about tricking you out of your power and understanding your true divinity, but we also have the ability to literally demand out of the universe the things that we need to know and understand. And I know that sounds a little crazy, and maybe, you just have to incorporate that into your belief system. But whatever it is, what I'm saying to you is that it is important what you think. It's not important what Karen thinks. It isn't important what Morgile thinks. It's not important what Zack thinks. It's not important what I think. What matters is what you think and what you feel and what you believe to be true. And that's the most important thing that I think everybody really needs to understand. Now, a lot of people don't have a lot of confidence in themselves. And that's why they will so often try and defer to somebody that they see as an authority. And, that may be a safe bet for a while, but it's never foolproof. And that's just not something that you want to continually do. You know what I mean?
I think those are the people who end up with problems.
Yeah, I do too.
The people who don't take responsibility for themselves, those people who they will be susceptible to stuff like that.
Yep, absolutely. So, okay.
So really, you have to take all the lessons that you learn in life. Like, one of the main lessons I know is when a bad person, the wicked, say something, it's the exact opposite, 180 degrees. When you're over the target, where you're supposed to be going or what you're supposed to be looking into, you get the most flack.
Yeah, buddy.
Things like that. You take that stuff with you into the afterlife, and I think that's kind of like, part of it. If you didn't learn these lessons in life, you're going to get snatched up right away. But if you go into that afterlife with these lessons that, hey, I don't know anybody here, it looks like my mother, it looks like my brother, or, whoever's up, they're waiting for you. But you can't trust that being right there. You have to keep your wits about you and always, take your time, think it through, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I agree totally. And speaking of that, there's a comment from Kingdom in Context in the chat who says, Globebusters, you may know this, but what this narrative you're reading is explaining 2nd century AD Gnosticism, which really was repackaged from Vedic theology, a form of Brahmanism. Yeah, actually, I am aware of that. And it just goes to show you that a lot of these philosophies are repackaged from, different ways of thinking. Does that mean that it's wrong? No, not necessarily, not at all. Again, this is where it comes back to you being able to make that discernment. And believe me, a lot of things that you'll go through when you go through this journey will seem counterintuitive. But you just have to kind of, like I say, stick with that preponderance of evidence. If it builds and you keep coming back to evidence that is sustaining, certain points that you're learning about life, that you're inquiring about, then, the universe is trying to tell you something, right? Pay attention to it. And again, nobody else is qualified. Nobody else is qualified to tell you what is best for you or what in life is going to be the best thing for you. Nobody other than yourself, ultimately. But it does come with a price where you have to put a little bit of trust in yourself, right? And that's one of the biggest things that they have literally taken away from us. This is why we have this syndrome of, well, we've got to defer to the white coats, right? Because they know everything and I don't know anything. And that is exactly, they have got you exactly where they want you when you think this way, right?
I would say that the term Gnosticism is very much a stigmatized and a weaponized term. And I wouldn't go so far as to say that it's from any source other than teachings of the actual true teachings of Yeshua, of Christ to his disciples. And what we're left with in the sort of modern standard Judeo-Christian dogma is very far apart from what he actually taught. I don't want to get too much into this yet because that was kind of dovetailing into what I was going to answer on the sort of main topic of the show. But it is echoing Gnosticism. But again, I just hate that term because there's so much stigma attached, right?
Yeah, totally. There really is. That was one of the things that, people really have this thing against, Gnosticism or gnosis, and it just means knowledge. It just means knowing, right? But again, a lot of these things will be completely demonized, because they will be pointing at a lot of truth, but it's not the truth that they would want you to believe, that they would want you dabbling into, if you know what I mean, right? So, yeah, I totally know where you're coming from, John, on that. So, all right, so I think we're almost done with this, so let's continue on and finish this up with Wes. Here we go.
Say a few well-prepared words to these entrappers, but we strongly suggest not to pay attention to any of that. It's just our ego speaking, and using the ego in this sense is just reactive and not proactive. It will only create potential problems. If you linger in the astral, there is a chance someone comes to your aid, or so it might seem. Someone asks if they can help you, even to exit the grid. Do not fall for it because it's not a trap. You can do this yourself. When you leave your body, you might see the grid first, or you might see the tunnel first. It depends. The tunnel can appear anywhere, in front of you, above you, behind you, or on either side. You might feel a pull toward the tunnel, partly because you experience an overwhelming feeling of love coming over you, wanting you to experience more of that, and partly because it has an energetic pull. When it comes to the former, the extensive love you feel is soul energy the overlords have sampled from us humans and amplified it to a level we as humans have never felt before while in the Matrix. This is why it's so tempting to go into that direction and neglect everything else. When it comes to the latter, that's another reason why you want to exit as quickly as possible, before the pull from the tunnel becomes too strong. Don't pay attention to the tunnel. Look in another direction, but still upwards, until you see the grid and focus on your task at hand, which is to exit. Don't let yourself be distracted with what you experience around you, if you even experience anything, because not everybody does until later. Also, don't be distracted by focusing on earthly attachments, such as friends, lovers, relatives, or other things you left behind when you died. If you do, that will potentially make the exit more difficult, if possible at all. Now, let's talk about time-space in the Matrix in relation to the Ka. To begin with, time in the astral is irrelevant. It's not the same as it is on Earth. In the astral, time is subjective. It doesn't follow any clocks. When it comes to stars, planets, and space, the way we look at these things, they are all matrix constructs. The entire matrix exists within Earth and its atmosphere, and also includes space and the entire 4% universe. All of this exists within what we perceive as our planet. Yes, even the stars, galaxies, and planets, as we know them, are inside the Earth grid. We will talk about this in a future video. We have good reasons to believe that the grid is the electromagnetic field that surrounds the Earth. Flat earthers and concave earthers may now object and tell me that Earth is not a sphere, and they are both correct from what we have concluded. But that is also for another video and is irrelevant for this one. Although space is constructed to be within the matrix, it's a projection, and you will most likely not experience stars and planets before you exit. The projections are physical and not etheric. However, when you've exited, the first thing you might encounter is the real solar system with the true sun and planets. Be prepared though. Because they might not look the way you're used to.
Yeah, in other words, so as we've all seen, whether we're looking at, old Apollo footage or NASA footage, whether it's real or not, or balloon footage, it seems that when you get up past a certain altitude, the starlight starts diminishing greatly, right? So that tells you that starlight is being projected locally, right? And that's part of this artificial construct that is the Ka, right? The part of the Ka matrix that is kind of replicating, what's outside of this matrix or patrix, however you want to call it. And it's just really interesting because you, oh crap, I lost my train of thought. God, I hate it when it happens. Anyway, it's a super interesting thing because the matrix that we're talking about is essentially a replication of something that was there, but then has previously since been destroyed. You would be surprised how much information has been written about it. Thousands of volumes of books and, all kinds of stuff have been written over the centuries. And again, even though, if you absolutely are seeking that information, somehow it will be made available. I don't know exactly how to tell you that happens, but it does seem to be the way that things work. So there you have it. So anyway, I'm going to make all this stuff available up, all of Wes Penry's videos up on the show links. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and move over to the Rockman side because I want to talk about a few things there that we cannot talk about on YouTube, obviously. But again, if you would like to join us over there, it's $9.99 a month, and that gets you every single creator that actually has a channel on Rockfin. And ODD just did his very first podcast last night, which was awesome. So he's now up and running on Rockfin and good to go. So before we cut over to Rockfin, does anybody have anything they want to say to the YouTube crowd?
Yeah, come to Flattoberfest. Go to flatearthfestivals.com/Flattoberfest 2021 and join us. ODD's going to be there. Bob's going to be there. Mike Williams from Sage of Quay Radio, Jason Lindgren, and there's going to be live music on day 2, talks on day 1, and it's a really cool area. There's a really cool Irish brew pub with great food next door that's open till 2 a.m. in addition to the bowling alley that's there in the venue. So I hope that you can all make it and join us. And I will be live streaming it. I am planning on live streaming it to Rockfin and to my patrons. So.
Oh, awesome. That'll be cool.
There's a reason to join Rockfin because it'll be Rockfin Premium.
Oh, there you go. So Rockfin will have it the whole conference, and I will probably be doing some uplinking myself from there because, as you know, I am one of the presenters. And again, I'm really looking forward to it. So there you have it. All right. Anybody else have anything?
Yeah, just one thing, Bob.
Okay.
There's also, we've been talking about the Matrix like this place. And there's also the Matrix that is, the world that the elite are pulling over your eyes, that we're living in this thing going on right now. This, that's another Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's almost impossible to get out of that Matrix because it's everywhere you go, everywhere you look almost. But if you want to relieve that a little bit, that pressure that's building up from that, go out to nature. Go find some running water or a nice trail or someplace you can go watch animals or something just for 10 minutes. Do it for 10 minutes a day for a week, and I guarantee you will feel better. Now, I'm not a doctor. I don't play one here on YouTube. But
yes, you do.
It sure does. It heals you. Just focus on that. Forget about all that other stuff just for 10 minutes a day, and it'll help. It will.
Yep.
I agree.
Well, I totally agree. And I have to tell you, this is one thing that Richard Hoagland, had right when he said the lie is different at every level. And it truly is. It is brilliant the way that they have orchestrated the lie within a lie, within a lie, within a inverse, within a backwards, within an upside down. It's astounding how well that technique works. It's absolutely amazing. So, you just have to get used to it. And pretty soon, there comes a point where I think most flat earthers can see it very clearly, that is in fact how it does work. And, when we say there's the lie is different at every level, you can bet that it's true. And it's always just, it's always pointed right at you. Right. So pretty crazy stuff. So, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and end the YouTube stream now, guys. So again, mods, if you would slap the Rockfin link in there, that would be great. And we will go ahead and continue the show over there. Hope many of you can make it over, and we'll see you shortly. Until then, be good to each other. Don't lie to each other. Open your mind because there's truth inside. See you later, YouTube.
Peace.
Peace.